population that did not see Who the F Did I Marry, why don't you just go ahead and explain what that was?
It ended up being a 50-part series that I talk about how I met, dated, married, and divorced my ex-husband that I believe to be a pathological liar.
You're writing a book, you have your own show, but you really put yourself out there.
It's weird because I didn't necessarily set out to put myself out there. I was walking around with this really embarrassing, shameful story, and I was simply just sick and tired of being sick and tired.
People just want to engage authentically with authentic people and authentic stories.
Yeah, you can literally be in your car with rollers in your head, and people will still take time out of their lives to listen to you.
Hey everyone, welcome to Made for TikTok, the Can series. I'm Sophia Hernandez, Global Head of Marketing and Commercial Partnerships at TikTok. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Tareasa Johnson, also known as Redefining, the creator of the viral TikTok series, and I know you've all seen it, Who the F Did I Marry? During this episode, we're going to explore how creators can really turn viral content into a viable brand and highlight what marketers can learn about authentic storytelling and building lasting value and connections with their audiences on TikTok. Let's kick this off. Tareasa, Risa, what should I call you? What do you prefer?
You can call me either one.
Okay.
It's
Risa's fun. It rolls
Risa's
off the tongue.
yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and I had the pleasure of getting to know you a little bit just before we kicked this off, this conversation, and there's so much to share with the people watching today. So why don't we start with why don't you just tell everyone, for that few population that did not see Who the F Did I Marry, why don't you just go ahead and explain what that was?
So Who the F Did I Marry was basically, it ended up being a 50-part series that I talk about how I met, dated, married, and divorced my ex-husband that I believe to be a pathological liar. And I talk about the red flags that I ignored, the things that I uncovered, where basically by the end of our marriage, the only thing I could prove was his name and date of birth. Everything else that he had told me turned into a crazy lie. And so I told my story from start to finish, and I did it in increments and, using the 10-minute version. And so it ended up being 50 parts, 10 minutes each. So it was a long story.
So 50 10-minute segments of you telling this story. And just let's take a step back. What made you pick TikTok as the place you wanted to share this story? But even before that, what made you want to share this story with the world?
So what made me share the story actually stems from another TikTok that I saw where a creator said, "What is the most effed up thing your ex has ever done?" And so I stitched it and I said, well, my ex, cried about the fact that his grandmother died from COVID. And then I told the story of how I found out she actually died in 2018. And just that one video got a lot of people to say, wait a second, you have to tell us what?
Give us more.
Give us more. And so I made the decision that night, February 13th, to basically say, you know what, tomorrow I'm gonna just tell the story. And I'm gonna start it. I'm gonna give an introduction because I am a very detailed storyteller.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm gonna start it and I'm gonna own it and tell everything that happened. Using TikTok came naturally because that was literally the only social media I was on at the time. And I knew that there was that 10-minute feature. So I said, okay, I'll do it like an audiobook where I'll just, record it 10 minutes each. And then I'll just try to upload everything at one time. It took a little long to do that. But I did it so that way it would play in a playlist. And if you started on part 1, it would immediately go to part 2 and part 3.
Yes.
So,
you connected it that way.
Yeah.
And okay, so you're on the platform, you're on TikTok. Someone asked the world, the TikTok community, to share an effed up experience they've had with an ex. And you're like, that resonates with me. Let me tell my story. Yeah. Had you ever posted TikToks before?
I did.
Okay.
I had posted TikToks, but they were always funny TikToks, whatever the trend was. At the time, my main things that I would go live every morning and every evening. Every morning on my way to work, because I had a long commute. Shout out to Atlanta. So I had an hour and a half commute. And I would just go live and talk to people and say, hey, I'm on 75 North. I'm about to pass, Terra Boulevard or whatever. And I would play music.
Okay.
And then I would do the same thing in the evening. And that is actually how I ended up getting about 8,000 followers at the time that I did the series.
How many people would tune into your live while you were filming it?
It started off slow at first, and then eventually it was hundreds of people in there. And there were people who I would continuously see. And, they were like, hey,
your
girl,
regulars.
My regulars. Yeah. They would be like, hey, Risa, how's it going? And where are you going to today? It was always the same questions. I'm like, y'all, I'm going to work, And I would have people in there who would answer for me because they had been on the lives with me so many times.
Wow.
So they would say, hey, everyone, she's going to work. She's on 75 at William Street. She's going into Cobb. It felt like a community at the time.
Yes. Okay. So I'm so glad you said community, because I think that's something people don't truly understand about this platform, especially brands, is one, someone put out a call to action to share a story, and then people participate in that. There's this back and forth engagement and communication that doesn't exist anywhere else but TikTok. Right. And then you posting a live every morning, I'm sure the average person and the average marketer would question, like, who's going to tune in to you just shooting yourself live in your car, playing music on the highway? And you said up to 8,000 people did. And not only did they, but they came back over and over and over again to the point where they felt they were connected with you, right? And they're answering for you. How does that make you feel? Like when you've got I'm going to call it a following, right? You've got this following.
It felt good because think about it, like just driving in the car to work. I'm not really on the phone. I'm not really talking to anyone. So it kind of passed the time of going live and just playing music. And I would make it fun by saying, y'all, it's a rough morning, so I need to get my Jesus in. And I would play, like a Christian playlist. Yeah. And then in the afternoon, if you were with me in the morning, I would make it fun and be like, y'all, it was a rough day. My boss got on my nerves. We're playing Cardi B on the way home. And so
Which Cardi B?
All of them. Bodak Yellow, all of them. And so you had people who could relate to, you start off your morning, you're so productive and positive, and then something happens and you're ready to fight by the time you're ready to go home. So it became fun. Reading the comments, people were like, Risa, like, girl, I see Georgia State Patrol up ahead, slow down. It was fun. Yeah. Heads up. And so I enjoyed it. And to be honest with you, that's one of the things when people are like, what do you miss from what you used to do after the 50-part series? I miss going live and showing my commute. I honestly do.
Yeah. Why aren't you doing it anymore?
Because it's a little crazy now. Yeah. Going live is the way more than a few hundred people. Yeah. And wow. To be honest with you, driving and going live, it doesn't really work as well as it used to. So, the comments are wild because everyone's like, hey, what's going on with the show? Who's going to play this? And right. And I like for it to be a situation.
I hear like, y'all, I'm driving. Like,
let's just listen to the music. Let's just get our minds right to start the day, because I am still working, which a lot of people are surprised to find out. So for me, it's like, I'm not going to answer.
You still have a day job.
I still have my 8 to 5.
Yeah. Okay. So you've built this incredible following, right? And this is before Who the F Did I Marry? Mm-hmm. And then you see this call to action and you're like, let me share my story. Right. The community says, like, we want more. Wait, whoa, what? Yeah. Tell us more. And you decide this is a moment to share something incredibly personal, which is very scary to a lot of people in general, but also brands, right? Like when we encourage them to just put themselves out there, because TikTok is such an authentic platform, they're always worried about the haters, about just a misstep that could get them in the press in a negative way. But you really put yourself out there. Tell us about that.
It's weird because I didn't necessarily set out to put myself out there. I just felt like I'm going to tell my story. Okay. I did make a conscious decision, though. In order to heal, you're going to have to acknowledge some of the ugly parts. And so I did make a choice. Look, this is not going to all make me look good, but I'm going to own it. And so that's why I gave that introduction. That introduction, which was before part one, was so important to me because I was trying to set the stage of this is not going to be a typical, oh, she fell in love story and they lived happily ever after. There's going to be some ugly parts, and there's ugly parts that reflect on me. And so I just feel like that was really important to kind of let your audience know what you're getting ready to hear is based on true events. The same thing we see on television.
Right.
But just giving people kind of an awareness of not all of this is going to make me look good.
Right.
I wasn't.
And you said, so for those that did not watch, can you just give a little bit of what was that message?
So before I started part one, I did an introduction where I just said, I know why we're all here. Because at this point, I knew there had been so much feedback from what was the most effed up thing your ex has ever done video. So I said, I know why we're all here. You're here for a series that I'm going to call Who the F Did I Marry? Which is funny because at the time that I recorded, I was going to call it What the F Did I Marry? And Who came out. So that's just a little backstory.
It's stuck.
And so I said, I'm calling it Who the F Did I Marry? I'm going to tell you all in order of the time that we met all the way to the time that we last had any communication. I said, I'm going to record all of these in real time and I'm going to upload them as fast as possible. In other words, I was not going to do the follow for part 17.
Right.
Oh, I hate that.
Okay.
I was not going to do that.
Okay.
I feel like if the point is to get your story out, get the story out.
Yeah.
You don't have to make people follow you because they'll follow you whether they want to or not. You don't have to. You don't have to make them and tease
bait
them to do it.
If the content is good, people will watch.
People will follow. And so I just simply said, this is how I'm going to put it out there. So even if you don't see a video tomorrow, just know that I'm recording because I do have to sleep. And it'll all be in order and you'll be able to see it in the playlist. So I said all of that so that the audience would kind of know and set the expectations ahead of time.
Okay. And you prepped the audience. Mm-hmm. You had already recorded the series.
No, I was recording this when I did the introduction. And then I did it in my bathroom, getting ready for work. And then part one was me in the car driving to work. So I did it as in real time.
Okay, I want to stop and just dive into that a little bit. So one, shooting lives in your car. Are you prepping yourself visually, making sure you have the right camera angle, making sure you have the right lighting somehow?
No, I literally had a phone holder from Amazon and the camera is facing the windshield. So it's you're seeing what I'm seeing as I drive. Okay, the camera's not looking at me. So it's like you're sitting on the dashboard.
So those lives weren't even you.
No, it's just me talking. Hey, good morning, everyone. For those of you who've never been here before, I'm Risa. I'm here in Atlanta, Metro Atlanta. I'm heading to work. And I would start telling people, for those of you who are like, where is she? This is Atlanta, Georgia. As you can see, the planes coming in, because you can see all of this. Those are the planes coming in because Atlanta has the world's busiest airport. Mm-hmm. If you're new here, I kind of just play music so that way we can all just get mentally ready and just enjoy the commute with me. And that's all I would do. So most of the live was music.
So for the brands watching and for the aspiring creators watching, Risa wasn't even shooting herself. She was basically showing you her view as she's driving, and hundreds of people are tuning into this. So this is I just want to emphasize the power of TikTok as a platform and how much we tend to overthink things that we've done traditionally, like the lighting we have even in this studio, right? The fact that, you need high-end equipment, or the reality is people just want to engage authentically with authentic people and authentic stories.
Yeah.
That was a little bit of a tongue twister for me, but okay, so what about when you, what made you think to shoot that first kind of video in your bathroom as you were getting ready?
It was the most convenient time.
Okay. All right. I love the honesty.
It was the most convenient time. I was clothed, but I was putting on makeup. And I had.
By the way, I love how you clarified that.
Yeah, I was clothed. And I had on heatless curlers in my head. So I basically had rollers in my head.
Okay.
And I felt like, look, pay more attention to the story, not so much how I look. That was my thinking. But then also I kind of said to myself, just be you. Like, just let's just be ourselves.
Yeah.
And let's just start from the time we met.
Yeah.
And go from there.
So your comment, just be you, we could go really deep on that. Because, we talked before this. It's something that I'm very passionate about. People just showing up as themselves in this world. You decided to put yourself out there, put your story out there, partly to empower people, partly to kind of like satisfy the requests that you were getting about wanting to know more. But like, what was the real reason you wanted to share your story?
Truthfully, I needed to get it off my chest.
So like a therapy kind
It
of.
was very, very cathartic to just say, this is what happened. I was in therapy and I felt like my therapist and I were not on the same page. Like, because some of the advice she would give on things to do, I was like, did you hear what I just said? Like, I felt like there was a misstep. And so I was walking around with this really embarrassing, shameful story. And enough time had passed to where I was simply just sick and tired of being sick and tired of being embarrassed.
Yeah.
And so I just put it out there.
So you did it. What was the response?
So in truth, initially the response was negative. And when I say, so there's different forms of the responses. Obviously I put it all out there within 3 days. So that's how long it took me to do the 50-part series. While I was uploading it, I really didn't pay attention to any of the comments or the videos because I was so busy trying to make sure I get all of it out in a timely manner because I didn't want it to drag on into the next week.
Yeah.
Because this was like a weekend time. So I didn't pay attention. It wasn't until after the series was uploaded and views are coming in, that's when I really saw like an onslaught of just negative. It was everything from, how I talk, how I look, my size. It was nothing but negativity in the beginning. And then once I did Good Morning America, I feel like that's where there was a noticeable shift where now it's an onslaught of support and encouragement. And thank you for telling your story. Thank you for being real. But initially, it was a lot of negativity.
So again, this is something that we talked about this earlier that brands are very worried about is they take a chance, they put themselves out there, and not brands, but like humans, right? And then the response from the community is not positive. So why didn't you take it down?
In the simplest form, it was already out there. Once you hit post, it's out there. Even if you only have 5 or 10 views, they may have shared it. They may have reposted it. So the purpose was to put it out there for me. I underestimated how much negativity I would get initially from it.
Okay.
And the reason why is because you're telling your experience of something. How can someone else tell you we don't believe you when you're saying this is what happened to me? So that was very surprising. But at the same time, I do feel like it was worth it. You will have moments where you go through a tunnel where it's like, okay, you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea.
Correct.
You're not. But one thing I do believe is that whatever your content is, whatever your product is, and I say that to the brands, if it is quality, people will support it because people want to support quality in a world where it's almost as if everything is based off of quantity versus the quality of it.
I think another thing too is for sure quality, right? But also just like being firm in who you are and what you believe. And when you know that in a very strong way and you put something out there and the negativity comes, you hold your ground because you know the positivity is coming. So you just, if you don't mind me getting a little personal, all these negative comments are coming in. Like, can you just walk us through like how you felt? What were you thinking? Because I immediately went to like, why didn't you take it down? But like, what were you actually feeling?
I was thinking to myself, the very thing that I was afraid of is actually happening. In other words, I was afraid if I put the story out there, people are going to judge me. People are going to think I'm the dumbest person on earth. People are going to shame me for it. And that is what was happening. But I also still felt like this is my story. And even if I have to stand on it by myself, I'm going to stand on, I know this is what happened to me.
Right.
I know this is what this person put me through. I know that these are the bad decisions I made. And I hope that there's someone who's like, oh, I'm in the same boat. And hopefully they see this story and they're like, you know what, maybe I need to rethink how I'm handling this situation, because I see an example of where it could go. So all of those things went through my mind, but I've been very open to say to people, look, it was not always roses and rainbow. My mental health took a hit. Mm-hmm. It was hard to see people who you have never met make think pieces about you and talk about you and how you look. And there were some people who actually insinuated, look, she's a big girl. What did she expect? What did she expect? Of course she got played. Like, that's what happens.
There are some ignorant people out there.
And so it's hard because I had very, very thin skin when this started. I can honestly tell you, I underestimated the internet and I had very thin skin when this started. I'm glad I didn't take it down, because it is true, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But I kind of felt like, y'all are close. Just so, like, it was hard. But at the same time, look at what happens when you stand on it.
What happened?
Oh, I got way stronger. Much stronger. And I'm not sitting here saying that I can take whatever comes my way. I can, but the things that kept me up at night, that made me cry because someone in North Dakota said something, it doesn't faze me.
Tell me some of the positive feedback you got and comments and connections.
Some of the best feedback, first of all, the feedback that sticks with me the most is from like the older generation. When I meet women and some men who are much older than me, who will say, my granddaughter made me watch your 50 parts. I'm so proud of you, honey. That does something. That really, really does. That means a lot.
By the way, that was my mother-in-law right now. That was exactly her. All right. So just hearing that like positivity from an older generation. People are very open on TikTok. Again, like we overuse this word authenticity, but people come here to have like genuine conversations. So, outside of the older generation, what else? Like, did you feel a responsibility based on the comments you were getting?
Yes and no. And I say yes because I noticed a lot. So for me, what I see is a lot of videos. It's not so much in my regular life when I'm giving this example, but I saw a lot of teens and young adults, like who just graduated high school. Like I went to a Chick-fil-A, it's true story, went to a Chick-fil-A back home in Atlanta, and like the entire staff is teenagers. And I went through the drive-thru and she handed me my food and she was like, oh my God, like she started freaking out. She was like, you're Risa. Y'all, Risa Tisa is in the drive-thru. And they all come running to the drive-thru door. And that was a moment that I realized you do have a bit of a responsibility because the younger ones are looking at you and they're watching. They're watching how you handle it. They watch how you handle the fame. They watch how you handle the money.
That's right.
Or is it going to change you? Like they are, in fact, watching. So that's where I feel like there's a responsibility in just being mindful, not to be funny, very mindful, very demure, but be mindful of how you carry yourself.
Yes.
Be mindful of how you are and how you treat people.
Yeah.
Because people talk and people are watching.
And listen, it's a great responsibility, whether you're you or a corporation or a brand. Definitely putting yourself out there is a big responsibility because you do have a lot of influence on the hundreds of thousands of people. Do you know how many people actually watch the series?
The last number that I did an interview and someone said, so you're now at 500 million views and impressions.
500 million
that's insane.
were impacted by your story because you decided to have the courage to put yourself out there and really share something. And not only that, but one of the things that really inspires me about your journey is how even when the negativity came to you, you like stood your ground and you worked through that and ended up in a much brighter place Can we talk about that? Can you tell everyone what you're doing now and how this has snowballed into something incredible?
So from this series has come life-changing, opportunities. So first and foremost,
I'm so excited for you to talk about this.
So first is the show. So we're actively in the brainstorming stage where ABC and Natasha Rothwell bought the rights to turn it into a show. And then also I am waist deep in a book. So the book is, and the way that I explain to people, the book is extremely personal and gives you the backstory. And the show is the adaptation. So the show will take the 50-part series and sprinkle some seasoning on it and make it for television. But yeah, it's both a book that's coming and
you're partnering with Natasha.
Yeah. She'll play Risa.
Really?
Yes.
She's incredible.
She is.
How did you meet? How did this happen?
So literally the funny thing is this really all starts off of the power of watching what you say, because people would ask me, oh, if you could have anyone play you, who would you choose? And I would always say Natasha Rothwell, Jill Scott, and Danielle Pinnick. And so it again, social media is powerful. So eventually those videos got to Natasha, and she and her company and ABC put a bid in for the rights. And I was always like, you have to play me. I don't care what you do. You just have to play me. So
you've met her, you've had conversations with her. She's excited to play you.
She's literally like the older sister I wish I had. She's warm. But will also fight for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
that's the vibe I get from you too.
Like, I love you, and if anyone messes with you, I will whoop their ass.
Yeah. Yes.
Respectfully. Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I love about
I said what I said.
I said what I said. The way that you're saying it with a smile, like,
yeah.
I'll cut you. Don't try me. Try Jesus.
So you're writing a book. You have your own show starring Natasha as Risa Tisa, which is like compliment in itself. What other brand deals do you have going? Have you partnered with brands? What else is going on?
I've had the opportunity to partner with a lot of brands. I really love partnering with brands where I have authentically used them long before Risa Tisa. Like, because I just appreciate when a brand lets me tell a story, and the story is just real when it's something that I can really relate to and kind of say, look, I was using this back when I was on a payment arrangement with Georgia Power, just keeping it real. So there are a lot of brands that I've had a great opportunity to work with, and then brands that I look forward, I hope have the opportunity.
What are some of those brands you want to work with?
I really want to work with, I love travel. That's my thing. I'm catching flights, not feelings. So any Delta I love because I'm a Delta girl. Hilton. Here's one that may surprise you. Always.
Okay. Yeah. Why not?
Because that how there's some brands that are a part of your life, but you don't realize that they are a part of your everyday life.
Yes.
Always is a brand I have used since I was 10.
Yeah.
And I think
Procter and Gamble, you hear this?
When I think about it, it has been with me through, being 10 and awkward, like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened, through high school, through college, and now, in adulthood. So that's one of those brands that I'm like, call me.
Yeah.
Like,
all right.
I can tell a story on this. Yeah.
And what are some of the brands, and you can or you don't have to name names, but some of the brands that have come to you that you said no? Maybe talk about why you said no.
So without putting anyone on blast, two come to mind. One, it was because it simply was not going to be authentic.
Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
Okay, so here's what it meant for me. They wanted me to talk to create a story about working with them, when the truth of the matter is I never would go this route, because it had to do with a dating app. And I've been very vocal. Dating apps are not for me. Like, I've done interviews saying this. So it felt like, okay, so did you change your mind for the check, or what's? I felt like the audience would have questioned, You've always said that you're not going to go this route, and now here you are, being a spokesperson
Right.
for this brand. What happened? Like, what made you change your mind? So for me, it just didn't feel real.
And is it about your audience calling you out?
Well, no, it's more about being true to me. I know I'm not going to use it.
Right.
So why am I trying to sell for? Because then you have to ask yourself, are you doing it because you want the check?
And do you know if the brand already knew you were like not pro dating apps,
Yes.
and they still came to you?
Yes.
Okay.
It was still a matter of, hey, let's try to spin it. That was, what me and my team said. Why don't we spin it, and maybe it could be like a red flag thing to look for when you're on a dating app. But they were very adamant. No, this is what we want. This is what we're wanting to pitch. And I just felt like I'm probably not the right person for this.
So I'm clear. When they came to you, you recommended a spin?
Yes.
And the red flag?
Mm-hmm. And
that's a smart one, by the way.
And they felt like, nah, this is
how
what
we want you to do it. Okay. So it breaks my heart that still happens, because part of what we've been talking to brands about for years is, one, find the creator partners that authentically fit with your brand, that they have used your brand, they really love your brand, etc. Don't just like give them a brief and like force them to read a script and hold a product. I love, and I've spoken to many, many creators in my career, I love when creators go back to the brand and push them and say, like, if you really want to partner with me, here's what will work, because you know your audience better than anyone.
Yeah.
And here's what will resonate. Ultimately, the reason brands partner with creators really falls into two buckets. One, because they want you to help them be a part of the conversation, right? It's harder for brands to kind of just step into that.
Right.
So they really work with you to help them to almost hold their hand into it. And two is to break into new audiences or share a message with an audience that is new. And so when they're coming to you for that, but they don't want to listen to what's going to resonate, stop doing that, brand. It's like you're hearing it from Risa, and you've heard it from many creators in the past. If you're going to partner with creators, you have to be ready to take your brand and put it in their hands and let them mold it like clay, and play with it and do what they need to, because they are the experts.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
So you've worked with brands, and you've also just recently started to work with Hollywood, right? Creating content in both cases. What's the difference? Is there a difference between working with brands and working with Hollywood execs?
I feel like there's a difference when it comes to some brands. And what I mean by that is, in my opinion, in my experience with Hollywood, they know exactly what it is they want you to say. And you kind of know that's part of the job. Like Hollywood, there's a script. So we want you to be on script. And you will have some brands that want a script. They will send you a script. They will tell you, this is what we want you to say. This is how we want you to look. So in some instances, it is much easier to work with a brand that simply says, listen, this is our product. Make a video about it and send it to us. We'll go with whatever it is that you have to say. Just let us have the final approval. And I think that's great.
Yeah.
Because you need to have some form of a boundary, like not just say whatever comes to mind.
Right.
But brands that let you just be you and talk about the brand, whatever the product is, naturally, because my excitement will come through when it's something that I can just talk about and I can relate it to everyday life. I wish that brands understood, more and more brands need to understand, the majority of your audience is just regular everyday people. So, I'm not going to have $1,000 shirt on while talking about, a brand or a product that costs $34.99.
Right.
Your audience sees and is like, what's going on here? So I do feel like Hollywood, again, they want the script. They want hair and makeup. They want the production. Brands are allowing you to just simply do what you do in the comfort of your home and send it to them for final approval.
The brands that do it right.
Yes.
Okay, so I know everyone watching is going to say, okay, well then why do you follow a script for Hollywood but not for brands? Isn't it a loss of authenticity on the Hollywood side?
See, I don't know that it's necessarily a loss of authenticity, because I think it is very, very hard to be purely authentic in Hollywood when you're dealing with a scripted show. By the very definition of it, it is scripted television. If you're dealing with a reality show, that's a little different. But as I've learned, there's usually a script for reality shows too. So in my opinion, everything with Hollywood, once you step into that world, it's going to have some form of a script, a director, a producer. It's going to have that. It's not going to be the same production as it is when you just have you and your camera at home.
And I'm sure you're still influencing the script, so it sounds like it's your voice, something you would say, something you would do, the way you would act.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so my last question for you is, and we touched on this earlier, you have had such an impact on the world. And I'm going to say the world because this is a global platform, and people in Atlanta see your content, people in the US see your content, people in Europe see your content, and on and on and on, right? What message do you want to send to people who are either going through what you went through, to people who are thinking about being a creator, putting their story out there? Like, you have this platform, and that's a lot of power. We talked about that earlier. Brands also have a lot of power when they put messages out there. They influence the way people feel about themselves, right? The way people behave, the things they buy, the things they use. Similarly, you have that influence. So what message do you want to send to anyone watching this and really the world?
So for me, I can speak more directly probably to other women minorities. I'm an African American woman, and I truly do believe, and I say this to anyone, but specifically to minorities, the idea that you have to look like, you have to sound like, you have to walk like, talk, dress like anyone else. I hope that this story of Reesa Teesa shatters that, because at the end of the day, I don't see a lot of representation that looks like me, meaning a Black woman, a plus size woman. The idea that you have to sound a certain way. No, you don't. No, you do not. All you need is to be you and a camera and willing to put it out there. Yes, it is scary, but the notion of you need lights, you need makeup, no, you don't. You can literally be in your car with rollers in your head, and people will still take time out of their lives to listen to you. So I hate the idea that women, we tend to think we have to have a certain aesthetic.
Yeah.
And we don't. We don't, because your voice is just as powerful as mine, as just as powerful as anyone else in this room. And that's what I hope people take away from this whole who the F did I marry Reesa Teesa stuff. Like, I do not look like your typical size 4 influencer. I do not want to be a size 4. I am who I am. And I don't want anyone to ever feel as though, well, I don't have the lights. I don't, I talk with a slang, or I talk with a twang. It's okay. There's an audience who will still absolutely love you, who will listen to everything you have to say.
I love that message.
Yeah.
Can I drop this mic on the floor now? That was incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm inspired leaving this conversation today. I have a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old little girl, Paloma and Luna. And I actually want them to watch this segment because I find you incredibly inspiring.
Thank you.
And they are Black and Mexican. And
oh wow.
Yeah.
They're gonna be fierce.
They're gonna love this. They're gonna love this. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing. We're really looking forward to your series. Can't wait to see that, and congratulations again. And thank you to all of our viewers tuning in. To learn more about creators and creative solutions, check the link in our bio and subscribe so you don't miss another episode of Made for TikTok like this one. You don't want to miss out on these conversations. I need a hug. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Thank you so much.